Jason Wells with MLM Complete Package. In this week's training, I wanted to demonstrate what's wrong with how most people build a network marketing business. Now, we all face resistance as we're building this business, and a lot of times it's with the people and the way they look at what we do. And so the question is why? Well, this training just kind of happened by chance. I was talking to a friend of mine, known him a while, and he mentioned network marketing, and I asked if I could record what he's saying and make a bit of an interview out of it. And basically what I asked him was to share his experience, why he has a funny feeling when it comes to network marketing. He doesn't dislike it. He doesn't have an issue with it. I'll say that, a lot of people out there, oh, well, there's just a bunch of closed-minded people out there, and those are the people that don't like network marketing. And that's not the case with this guy. Cool dude. He's, a graphic artist. This is a guy that quit a really good job to travel the world for 4 months. Now he's back and starting a graphic design business. He's a yoga teacher. So for a guy to be a yoga teacher, I mean, that's, it's not really unusual in my world, but I know, across the world, across the United States especially, that's unusual. So he's a pretty open-minded dude, but he has some bad experiences. For those of you that are listening to the podcast or watching the YouTube video, and if you have anyone that you know that usually reads the blogs instead, let them know that they need to actually listen to the training, because this is the only way you're going to get out of it the full content. Because obviously I can't take the interview and transcribe it. Well, I could, but I'm not going to. So anyways, one of the biggest things that I want you to notice is a lot of these scenarios arise out of the friends and family list, which I know a lot of you don't like. But I can tell you it's what you do with the list that differentiates the MLM professional from the MLM rookie. And I don't have any problem with the list. I think any business owner that starts a new business needs to identify the people that they know, so they can establish those relationships and get out there and talk to people and let people know what you do. I just don't think that the way network marketers are doing it are the right way. And so that's why we teach a very different style of building. And anyone that's gone through our communication training knows that the most missed step in communication and sales training, particularly in network marketing and MLM, is the develop step. And so what you're going to see or hear in this case from Bailey, my friend, is a missing develop step. And so I'm going to go through and summarize what he's about to talk about, like just introduce it. And then I'm going to let him talk. And so I took the interview, I chopped it up, I pulled out the parts that I thought would be most relevant to you because it was quite long. And I took an hour and squeezed it down to about 12 to 15 minutes. So I did that just so you could get to the point on what it is I felt you needed to hear. So in the first soundbite, I asked Bailey about his experiences with network marketing and how those experiences made him feel. And so I just want you to pay attention to kind of how he describes the experience and to think about maybe times when you've made this mistake or people have asked you to do this and then you've wondered, is this what I have to do to build a business? Is this what the most successful people do? And the answer is no. There are other ways that I believe that's gotten Chris and I to where we're at. And so I want you to hear what Bailey has to say.
Yeah, well, I'll start with the first experience I really had of it. I was back in college, and out of the blue, I got a phone call from an old friend, and my first reaction was like, "Yeah, it's awesome! Like this person's calling me." And then, we get to talking. We get maybe 2 minutes into the conversation, and then he does this like segue into offering me this way to make money. If you join with what I've been affiliated with, then there's all these opportunities, and um, it, it went from a genuine conversation with a person that I've had many genuine conversations with, into something that seemed like simply there to make this person money. I became something that wasn't any longer a friend, like any longer just somebody that we had a connection with. And so it really just kind of like, like that was strange. And then I guess after that, I've only gotten a couple of these phone calls, and then I started working at a sushi restaurant in Fair Oaks, and again, like I made friends with the staff, and we started talking, and then he was like, "Hey man, you got to come over to my house. Like we're having this little get together. It'll be really good. You know, by the way, we're talking about by the way, we're all meeting up to talk about." I was like, oh, I got kind of that same feeling over again, like the same kind of I appreciate our relationship, but for only the the use of building this business or making more money, or something that just seems no longer genuine.
So next, I asked Bailey if he maybe said something that could have given these people the impression that it was appropriate to introduce the company or opportunity. And I did this because I wanted to play devil's advocate, and really determine if this situation occurred from some impression he may have given his friend or friends. And I did this because I know what some of you out there may be thinking, that, well, maybe he just made a mistake. Maybe he said something and he just doesn't understand that he may have said something that made these people feel it was appropriate to bring up what they do. And so I wanted to ask the question and see what his response was.
Organization this person was with. I just remember being in a science class and getting a phone call afterwards, and then it was just like 2 minutes of conversation about whatever. Like I wasn't discussing anything really that had anything to do with the whatever they were trying to sell or get me involved with. I didn't see any connection between that. And then with the Monavie guys at the sushi restaurant, like the same thing. It was just we were just chit chatting, and I hadn't expressed any interest in getting involved with anything new, or I hadn't expressed any interest in needing a Monavie like product. I really It kind of came out of the blue. And it was like, hey man, yeah, come on over. Like we'll all hang out. And I was like, yes, that's awesome. I want to make friends at work and hang out, and that sounds great. And then, all of a sudden, it just felt like it was no longer hanging out just to like connect. It was just hanging out so that they could build their business, or whatever. And that's yeah. And so yeah, to answer your question, it didn't seem connected. It didn't seem like a natural flow from our conversation into what they offered. It seemed like all of a sudden it was a veil of friendship for business. Like it wasn't like this friendly, hey, we're friends, and also I do this, and so if you're interested, that's cool. It turned from friendship to business. It didn't like share at all. It was just seemed like it went from 100% this to 100% this.
So I asked Bailey why this was such a turnoff, which I think is something that all of us want to know. You want to know when people do this business wrong and people react in a really bad way. I mean, we all have an idea, but what is so bad about somebody trying to promote their business? And so this is what he said.
All of a sudden, it was a dollar sign. Like all of a sudden, I was no longer just a friend to connect with and to talk to. I was a means to something. I was a means to more money or whatever kind of success they're seeking, and so that really, for their purposes, it doesn't seem like it worked at all because I, haven't talked to these people again.
I asked Bailey what would have been a better way to handle the situation in his eyes. So this is the point of view of somebody who feels that the business has been handled in the wrong way and how they view it should be done. It doesn't make it right or wrong, but it's interesting to get their perspective on how they look at this.
My friends is offering a service and that that's appropriate for me, then I will absolutely, I'll ask them, have a conversation about, further what they do. And so the awareness and the sales pitch happened all in one blast. So it was like, yeah, like, I mean, it was an easy conversation to the awareness that they're doing something to they want me involved in it and they want to make money off of it. All in one big swing. And it was just like, okay, like that's it. That's all I really wanted. I'm shut off now. And, walls went up. I'm like, oh no, it's all right. I'm busy that night. I just forgot. I have to go. Do this thing or whatever. And I got out of it. And like I just didn't. I haven't like recreated those bonds.
Just to show you that this isn't a isolated incident. This same stuff happens so much in MLM that it not only touched Bailey twice to date. You heard 2 stories from him, but now this current company, which is what I call the next big thing, it's the flavor of the month, was pitched to his girlfriend recently in the same manner. So either this guy just attracts this stuff, or we're doing this stuff a lot in network marketing, and it's clearly not working. Like, this is a good dude. Like, if he ever did want to do network marketing someday, like, or he wanted to do this kind of business, or, he could see the benefits. I guess the way to put it is if he could see the benefits of what we do, he may not ever look at it, even though he can see the good in it because of all the bad that's touched him.
This has more to do with my girlfriend and her friends, and with the product. And so she has a lot of friends from high school that she hadn't talked to in a long time, and then she kind of like me got a couple of phone calls out of the blue and went to hang out with her friends, and it became the same kind of thing. Just, hey, I really want to connect with you. I want to tell you about this product. Boom. And now her relationships with her friends in the past, she feels also have been cheapened, and that she's kind of apprehensive to connect with these people that she's really good friends with. And no, it's not like she won't call him or she won't, she won't talk to him, but she'll, she's just got this air of kind of this weirdness around it now.
Now, I asked Bailey, just to prove a point. I asked him when he found out I did network marketing, despite us knowing each other for a while. And for those of you out there listening, how could everyone not know what you do? Because it was never appropriate with Bailey. Bailey's actually a yoga teacher at the studio I go to when I'm in Sacramento. I have a home there. And, because my primary residence is in Reno. And so when I'm there for business and such, I'll go to this particular studio, and there are people there that are customers in my company because I've had conversations with them. It was appropriate. I had a product that could help them with their situation. But Bailey never once mentioned anything that was relevant to my product or my business. So it just never came up. And so that's the develop step. Maybe it never would with Bailey. Maybe it would have down the road, but it just didn't come up. It wasn't appropriate. That's why if you ever have those situations where it feels weird when you're talking to people, like you're forcing it on somebody, that's why, because it's not appropriate. They haven't said something that offered a proper transition into what you're doing. And that's what we call a develop step. And that develop step is talked about in our communication training. And it's talked about in our complete networker book. If you haven't gotten that book yet, you need to get it. Because everyone that reads it, we even have an special edition for the people in our own company. And the people in our own company read it and they're just like, man, I wish somebody would have told me this a long time ago. And so that's with you. You're missing out on some great information, and so you can prevent these situations that these people got into with Bailey.
I've known you for a long time, and I think I just learned, one of our last phone conversations, that you did work for you, and that was something you did. And the best part was that you didn't try to get me into anything. I didn't feel any sales pitch going on. It was just that's what I do, and it was left at that. And the conversation still went on. It was still very friendly, and I still consider us friends. And I still consider you a person that I still want to connect with. And so I think that's the main difference between the two styles of experience I've had.
Now, you may have heard me at the beginning of this talking about how Bailey's a pretty open-minded guy, and he knows exactly what we're going through. Because as I said, he's a graphic artist, very talented one. He's starting his own business. So, he understands the challenges that face us. We're all building a business here. The challenge is getting out there. And it's not like he doesn't understand our dilemma. But it's really interesting. So he's in this situation now where he's out there trying to promote his business. And this experience with former network marketers is actually affecting his perception on how he should handle his business with people. So it's really interesting. And here's the thing. I actually shared with him the same step, the develop step, and the list, how you work your list of people to promote your business. I actually shared that with him. This was actually a different conversation. And he was like, man, that's an awesome way to look at it. Now, here's a guy that's been approached by MLM and's been on receiving end of a bad way of doing things. But so is even to the point where it made him reluctant to promote his own business because he didn't want to come across as that type of person. So I shared that information with him. It's the same stuff that's in the developed part of our communication training. It's also discussed, as I said earlier, in our Complete Networker book. And so it's interesting to get his perspective on this. So check this out.
Yeah, and now, when I'm, attempting to grow this business, I'm, kind of left with, both the decision to put myself out there and make it known that, I do what I do. I'm, trying to succeed. This is, what I'm good at. And I have this, all this stuff that I want people to know about me. And at the same time, I have this experience from the past, which makes me feel weird about it, because I felt so uncomfortable when I, was approached by certain people or friends. And so, yeah, it's definitely a concern for me as well in my business, not just MLM.
Now, I did this training not to rub your face in the right and wrong way. Like, I understand some of you out there, this may have been the first time you've been exposed to our style of doing things. So this isn't about like stringing you up and hanging you up if you, if you're doing it the wrong way. But, if you are doing it the wrong way and you heard this training and now it's making you think like, okay, I want to change, then great. Good for you. I just, this is what I preach all the time in my trainings. I know Chris talks about it a lot too. And what I found interesting about Bailey was this is a good guy. He's a cool guy. Like, he's got a good head in his shoulders. He's not like one of these negative idiots. Like, he can't be. He's a yoga teacher. Like, he's always open to, having a positive outlook on life. It's something he works towards, because that's just like a yoga thing. Whether you like yoga or not, that's what, that's generally the people. And I can tell you, not everyone in yoga is nice. I mean, there's a lot of jerks in anything, but I can tell you this particular studio that I go to when I'm in Sacramento, where he's a teacher, I mean, this is the nicest group of people. These aren't a bunch of negative Nellies. So if this guy has had this kind of experience with network marketing, and when you listen to the way he describes things, well, it's understandable. And this is what's wrong with our industry and why people have a negative impression on it. So we got to stop it. Like, there's a better way to do it. And, that's where I've been plugging our book here and there. If you haven't read The Complete Networker, you need to read it, because we talk about this and other things that make network marketing a weird thing to people. And it isn't. It's really, it's really the most pure business model there is. It really makes a lot of sense. It's the kind of thing where you make money when the people you work with make money. But when you leave out customers, when you do this cheesy stuff where you're running around and telling everyone in the world about what you do, when it's not even a fit or appropriate, it's like we're the only ones doing this stuff. And yet, there's all these other professions out there. They're not doing this stuff, and they're plenty successful. So, it's like, you go back to the old analogy, like, when I was running a law firm, like, I didn't run around and say to people, we have a law office, do you need a lawyer? Like, you don't do that. Like, and you're probably laughing at that. Like, that's ridiculous, Jason, but that's equivalent to what we do in network marketing. And this is what was being done to Bailey, and why Bailey has this impression. Now, hopefully I have given him a different point of view on it. And I think I have. I think he now looks at it like, okay, it's like anything else. There's a right way and a wrong way to do it, which, knowing Bailey, he's got such a kind of natural wisdom built in that he probably already knew that. But, I reinforced it at the very least, I hope. And that's what we need to do as people who represent network marketing and multi-level marketing. We need to represent it in a different way. We need to change the viewpoint. And one of the ways to do that is start acting like business professionals, building it with business common sense, which is something we talk over and over again in our trainings.